Today is Thursday, April 29th. We'll tell you the key points and policies President Biden promoted in his first address to Congress and how Republicans did not hold back in their response to it. Also, two big updates from the Justice Department, the latest in the investigation of Rudy Giuliani, and new federal hate crime charges in the Ahmaud Arbery case. Plus, what to expect in tonight's NFL draft, what Google's new travel tool will tell you, and where Girl Scout cookies are getting delivered by drone. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. For the first time, President Biden gave a speech in front of a joint session of Congress to lay out a vision for the rest of his first year in the White House. And as he put it, quote, America is ready for takeoff. He started by addressing the history being made right then and there last night. There were two women behind the podium he was speaking at for the first time ever. It's always the vice president and House Speaker who sit behind the president during these types of speeches. And of course now, they're Vice President Kamala Harris and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Then Biden moved on to his big policy proposals, and there were quite a few of them. For example, the $1.8 trillion plan that includes new spending on childcare, healthcare, education, and family leave. He wants universal free preschool, 2 years of free community college, and at least 12 weeks of paid family leave for all Americans. The president wants to pay for it, mostly by raising taxes on the richest Americans. Biden also talked about his $2.3 trillion infrastructure package. That includes new spending on roads, internet access, water systems, and more. He said both massive spending proposals are necessary to help the nation's economy and American workers. But he needs Congress to pass them both first. And he called on Congress to do a lot more, too. He mentioned expanding access to health care, raising the federal minimum wage, improving the immigration system, taking action on gun reform, and more. He also promoted a policing bill that would ban officer chokeholds and no-knock warrants nationwide. Through it all, President Biden spoke a lot about unity. He said he was excited to hear from Republicans about their ideas as well, saying, quote, we have to prove democracy still works. Well, as is tradition, Biden heard from Republicans right away. Senator Tim Scott delivered the GOP response. He started by saying our president seems like a good man, then pointed out that he thinks Biden's policies are pushing the nation further apart. Scott said Biden's economic proposals are a, quote, liberal wish list of big government waste, adding that it'll be paid for by what he called the biggest job-killing tax hikes in a generation. He says they'll actually end up shrinking the American economy. Senator Scott also spoke about his experience with discrimination as a black man. But he said, quote, America is not a racist country, and he accused colleges and businesses of profiting off racial politics. In the Senate, Scott has been taking the lead on a police reform bill already, and there could be even bigger things in the future for him. As Politico reports, this speech will likely raise Scott's profile on the national stage, and it probably means more speculation about a presidential run in 2024. To be continued. The Justice Department stepped up its investigation into former New York City mayor, who later became President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Investigators searched Giuliani's home and office in New York City. As the New York Times points out, it's extraordinarily rare for prosecutors to use search warrants against a lawyer, let alone a lawyer for a former president. But that's exactly what happened yesterday. It's all part of a probe into Giuliani's business dealings in Ukraine that happened during the Trump presidency. Investigators took some of Giuliani's electronics. They apparently want to look for conversations between Giuliani and several Ukrainian officials. In the past, he's been accused of illegally lobbying on behalf of Ukrainians and making some deals in an effort to dig up dirt on Trump's political rivals, like current President Biden. Giuliani has his own lawyer now who says Giuliani did not do anything illegal or unethical. He says the raid was just done to make Giuliani look like a criminal. Of course, a search warrant on its own does not prove he did anything wrong, though a judge did have to sign off on it. So far, the DOJ has not said what was actually found. It's being called the most significant civil rights prosecution under the Biden administration's Justice Department. 3 white men are now charged with federal hate crimes in the death of a 25-year-old black man last year. They're accused of chasing down, shooting, and killing Ahmaud Arbery in a South Georgia neighborhood. At the time, they said they thought Arbery was a burglar running from the scene of the crime. But Arbery's family says he was just on his usual jogging route. And now a federal indictment says Travis McMichael, his father Gregory, and their neighbor William Roddy Bryan were trying to stop Arbery from using a public street just because he was black. Their attorneys deny that. All three men also face murder charges at the state level. So far, their trial dates have not been set. There's new evidence the U.S. is turning a corner in the COVID-19 pandemic. More than half of all states are seeing a big drop in the number of new infections over the last 2 weeks. The U.S. is now averaging about 54,000 new cases a day. That is down 24% from 2 weeks ago. Deaths are also going down. Even Michigan, where we've been seeing the most severe outbreak recently, is seeing a big improvement. The CDC director credits more people taking precautions and getting vaccinated. Nearly 55% of all American adults have now gotten at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. Still, the CDC director says, quote, "The virus is an opportunist," meaning it could still strike, especially in places where fewer people are vaccinated. More news is still ahead, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. This episode of The Newsworthy is presented by America's leading beverage companies who are working together to reduce plastic waste in our environment. Not all plastic is the same. America's beverage companies are carefully designing 100% recyclable plastic bottles, including the caps. Their bottles are made to be remade. And they're investing in community recycling programs to help get more bottles back so they can be turned into material used to make new bottles. That completes the circle and reduces plastic waste. Please help get every bottle back. Learn more at everybottleback.org. Again, that's everybottleback.org. Now, back to the news. The NFL Draft kicks off tonight in downtown Cleveland. Of course, this is when teams get a chance to add new up-and-coming talent to their rosters. And the draft order is mostly based on each team's record the previous year. So barring any trades, the team with the worst record gets to choose from the talent pool first. This year's ceremony will be spread out between 3 buildings: the First Energy Stadium, the Great Lakes Science Center, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the first pick during round 1. The Jaguars are expected to grab top-ranked draft pick Trevor Lawrence. He's the quarterback who helped Clemson win a national championship 2 years ago. The draft will have a much more celebratory feel compared to last year, when draft picks only appeared over video from their hometowns. This time, about 5,000 vaccinated fans will be there in person watching the festivities from a standing room only area near the main stage, and up to 50,000 fans will be allowed outside the stadium. You can watch the ceremony on ABC, ESPN, and the NFL Network. Tonight is just round 1. Rounds 2 and 3 are set for tomorrow, and rounds 4 through 7 will be on Saturday. America's second largest employer is giving 500,000 workers a pay raise. Amazon says more than 500,000 employees will get raises between 50 cents and $3 an hour. They'll go to people working on delivery, package sorting, customer fulfillment, and more. Other departments will be up for pay reviews and raises later this year. Amazon already offers a $15 an hour minimum wage to all of its workers. However, Amazon also faces accusations of treating its workers unfairly. Amazon's founder and CEO Jeff Bezos has been defending his company and promising improvements beyond just pay raises. For example, he says Amazon is also working to lower the number of injuries that happen at warehouses. Google has a new feature to help would-be travelers navigate all the changing rules around the pandemic. On Google, you'll now see relevant restrictions based on where you're located and where you want to go. For example, if you type in things to do in the Bahamas, a COVID-19 alert pops up. It says visitors must test negative for the virus within 5 days of their flight. Meanwhile, a Google search for hotels in Rome brings up an alert that Italy is still closed to American tourists with certain exceptions. Then Google offers to send you an email if the guidance changes. It's not just for international travel either. Searches related to trips within the U.S. either bring up a link to a state website or to the CDC site. Drones are now dropping off Girl Scout cookies, at least in one town in Virginia. The Girl Scout troop has been working with the company Wing. That's the drone operator owned by Google's parent company, Alphabet. Wing has been testing commercial drones for delivery services since 2019, and now they're carrying cookies. Once the drone reaches its destination, it hovers above the ground and drops packages using a tether. While some critics of drone delivery in general have worried about the privacy, safety, and noise, the local Girl Scout organization told USA Today these drones have helped the girls learn more about technology. And it's good timing, since the pandemic has made selling Girl Scout cookies more challenging. Axios reports cookie sales are down 50% this year nationwide compared to previous years. The organization says there just aren't enough people out at public places where the Girl Scouts usually set up their booths. And that's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. And today's Thing to Know is about how artificial intelligence systems and the companies that create them may have to abide by some new strict laws in the future. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Stamps.com. Are you still going to the post office, still paying full price for postage? Well, you don't have to, thanks to Stamps.com. And just think about what you can do with the extra time and money. I know when I don't need to run that extra errand, it frees me up to just relax a little more in my day. It also means I get to cross another thing off my to-do list faster. Stamps.com allows me to mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from my computer. And especially for any other businesses that mail out a lot, this can be a game changer. Whether you're a small Etsy shop or in a bigger office or navigating a new remote work life, Stamps.com can help you handle your mailing and shipping needs with ease. So stop wasting time going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There's no risk, and with my promo code NEWSWORTHY, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and then type in Newsworthy. That's Stamps.com with the promo code Newsworthy. Stamps.com, never go to the post office again. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. There's a new push to regulate the artificial intelligence industry. As Fortune magazine put it, the world of AI has been like the Wild West up until now. There are no federal laws governing AI in the United States right now. It's the European Union leading the way on this issue and pushing for some new safeguards. The EU recently put out a set of proposals for regulating AI systems. For instance, companies who use what's classified as high-risk AI would have to prove the systems are safe and unbiased, and that humans would still be overseeing the technology. Examples of high-risk AI systems might include programs controlling water supplies or road traffic, robots used in surgeries, and software that helps companies sort through resumes. But AI systems considered lower risk would still need to be transparent. For example, in customer service, companies would be legally required to let customers know if they're speaking to a bot rather than an actual person. And the EU would ban any systems used to manipulate behavior or be discriminatory. And as Axios reports, the United States could face pressure to get on board. Experts say American and European leaders have an incentive to work together and create globally accepted standards for AI before other countries like China and Russia beat them to it. That said, it could be years before the proposals are finalized and actually put into place. And that's your Thing to Know today. All right, thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow with much more news to know. Until then, have a great day.